Welcome back to another Asphalt 9 video. Today we'll be talking about the new Nitro Pollution mode in Asphalt 9. Now, if you didn't know, we're going to go ahead and explain what Nitro Pollution is. And the second part of this video, we're going to be talking about how it isn't new and how it really isn't a game mode at all. So let's first start off with explaining what Nitro Pollution is. Now, if you didn't know, they announced a new mode back when the European season update patch notes dropped, and they didn't really tell us much about it except that it is a new game mode. And when it dropped, actually only a couple days ago did we get the first event with this mode. We sort of found out what it was. Now essentially it is the traditional classic race game mode. You want to get first place around a track. Nothing new, nothing special. The only difference really is that some of the nitro bottles on the track are polluted, and basically what they do is instead of giving you nitro, they take away nitro capacity from your car. So if you're at full nitro capacity and you pick up one of these bottles, around like 10 or 20% of your nitro capacity is taken away, and that's all the nitro capacity that you have. Now obviously, because you don't have 100% capacity anymore, you can no longer shockwave, and as the capacity gets filled up from these polluted nitro bottles, the less nitro capacity you have, until you have no more ability to use nitro at all once the bar is full, but in the opposite direction. So beyond that, that is really it. There is nothing else about this game mode that changes the Asphalt formula. But firstly, before we talk about how I don't really consider this to be a game mode, and we'll be talking about that later, I'm going to first explain how this actually isn't new at all. So I'm not sure what regions this was available in. I know it was available in my region, which is the United States, but about 9 months ago, there was a lot of promotion being done with this whole anti-vaping and anti-smoking thing, where there were these like little mini games that would pop up like advertisements, and you could get 5 tokens from that. Now, on the other side, there was an event that they did called the Toxic Metals Tour, where they had the exact same thing as Nitro Pollution, except these were like toxic metals that apparently you get when you vape or whatever. And when you picked up these toxic metals, you would have the nitro capacity taken away in the same way when you pick up a polluted nitro bottle in Nitro Pollution. So it literally was the exact same game mode as Nitro Pollution, but they called it the Toxic Metals Tour. If you had it in your region, let me know in the comment section down below, or if you've played it, let me know as well. I played it, but because I didn't really think too much of it, I didn't take any recordings or screenshots of it. What I will do is I will link a YouTube video in the description of this video, so you can go check it out and see that it is basically just the same thing, except it was 9 months ago and called a different thing. So I just want to tell you guys that this is not new at all. So now I'll explain why it really isn't a game mode, and that's both a good and a bad thing. Now, as it stands, I would consider this to be sort of like a spice added to the classic race mode in Asphalt 9, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. This definitely adds some sort of variety, and it is certainly a different thing, a different experience compared to what we normally grind out for multiple hours every day if you play like that. But this is not a game mode. This does not fundamentally change how you play Asphalt 9 within the Asphalt formula. Now, a good representation of a game mode, or at least an attempt to change up the traditional formula, is Slipstream. You certainly don't play Slipstream like you would play a normal race because of, well, the Slipstream mechanic that was added. Certain cars like the Tryon Nemesis, or just cars that have a high top speed but very low nitro efficiency, become much more viable in Slipstream, and the way that you approach positioning also changes. A lot of the times you want to be in like second or third place throughout the race, so you can take advantage of the player in front of you and their slipstream. So in that sense, because the only difference within the Nitro Pollution game mode is that the nitro bottles that are polluted just take away some nitro from your capacity, it doesn't really change too much about how you fundamentally play the game, beyond just avoiding these nitro bottles. And it certainly can add some more variety to the meta in terms of that, cars with higher nitro capacity might be even more viable than they already are. But beyond that, there really isn't much depth in this sort of mix up of the classic mode, and there certainly isn't anything too exciting about it either. And let's move on to sort of what Asphalt could be doing with a game mode and why we certainly need more variety. I mean, you already know, right? Playing the same type of thing over and over again is not really that fun, and especially when you're grinding many races in something like a car hunt, or you're trying to go up a bunch of leagues in multiplayer, it can certainly get boring pretty quickly. You're just getting first place, you're playing on the same tracks with the same methods, the same routes, and all of that. And while Slipstream does provide a different experience, and personally I prefer that game mode over the traditional game mode, there certainly is a need for variety, which I've been asking Gameloft for a very long time, and Nitro Pollution simply doesn't have enough to qualify it as a game mode, as opposed to just maybe a slight rule variation or something like that. So where does this leave the situation? Well, I don't want to make a video just complaining about something in Asphalt 9 or a general video game without offering some constructive criticism and feedback, because frankly that wouldn't really do much for the Asphalt community, and it would not really make me feel good either as well. So what can be done? Well, like I said, I think that Asphalt needs more variety when it comes to game modes, and I do have some suggestions that would not only be from previous Asphalt games, but just some inspiration from other games as well. I mean, for one thing, a lot of people from the Asphalt community thought that Nitro Pollution would be very similar, or would just be a new name for the Infected game mode from Asphalt 8 and Asphalt Extreme, and certainly I can think that Asphalt 9 would be able to host this game mode with maybe some few minor modifications, because the tracks are different and the way that the cars handle are a bit different. But I think it's a mode that could definitely work in this game, and I don't see any reason why Gameloft couldn't add it beyond just maybe some technical restrictions, or just the amount of time that they have to work on different game modes. And that's really the big thing, is it doesn't really seem like Gameloft is very intent on adding new game modes. I know that they're certainly working on that club update and a new track and all those different things, but in my opinion, I think a new game mode might not be the most challenging thing to develop, and it could add a lot more variety that this game desperately needs. So like I said, the Infected game mode would be an option. We could have the return of Elimination, which is a very standard game mode throughout many racing games, including Asphalt. Now, because Asphalt has the knockdown mechanic, there could be the beat 'em all or the survive game modes from Asphalt 6. Those are definitely options, and there could even be options that I'm not thinking of right now, maybe inspirations from other games. Maybe we could incorporate stunts as part of a mode. I know that at the moment stunts can be conditions in events, but we could turn that into another game mode itself, like who can get the most amount of stunts in a certain time limit or something like that. I'm sure there is a ton of creative opportunities and possibilities for Asphalt 9 when it comes to mixing up how the game is played, and I think that this game desperately needs it, because racing into first place in a classic game mode is just frankly not exciting when you have to do it many hundreds of times. So let me know your thoughts on Nitro Pollution, and if you have any feedback or suggestions in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys later.